believe, but it's not actually true. It's just theoretically.
What? So why does it have to be these outlandish?
Because we can't demonstrate gas surrounding a snooker ball means that gas can't surround balls. Is that what you're suggesting?
No, I'm suggesting. I just suggested if gas can surround a ball, theoretically, it can theoretically do it, but doesn't mean it can do it in reality. That's what it means.
Like, why does it have to be this outlandish?
If you cannot demonstrate it, then by fundamentals, right? Listen. Look at it like this. Basically, if you cannot demonstrate it, but you believe it to be true,
that's not
then
true.
If you cannot demonstrate it and you believe it to be true, then you are, believing in a theoretical idea. It doesn't mean it's true because you can't demonstrate it.
But again, just because we can't demonstrate it surrounding a billiard ball doesn't mean that we can't demonstrate it.
What?
It's your requirement that we do it. It's your arbitrary requirement that we have to do it surrounding a billiard ball. Don't know why you might ask us to do that.
The globe's the positive claim. The globe has the positive claim. The globe's positive claim is gas pressure by a container.
Your claim is that gas pressure is contained, right? So when you say contained, that means you're alluding to some sort of container that we have surrounding the Earth, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So with that, if we have some sort of container, that means we should be able to detect.
We absolutely do.
Okay, so that would mean that we would be able to detect this container, right?
Right.
Okay, so why can't we detect it?
How come we can't detect gravity pulling down gases?
No. Why can't we detect this container?
Because it's the same as your container. Listen.
Solid glass. Hold on.
Listen.
Solid glass.
You're not listening, are you?
Or really thick plastic, or something. Why can't we detect it? Why can't we see it? Why can't we bounce radar off of it? Why is it undetectable?
So this is what I'm saying.
Container.
Gravity is your container.
This is what I want you to do. What I want you to demonstrate.
Can you shut up?
That we have
Earth is life.
That can be detected.
Earth is life. Hey. I know he's annoying.
I'm sorry.
I know he's annoying, but if you finish your question, you got to let him answer. I know he's annoying.
Okay, go ahead.
Fucking hell, man.
Go ahead.
What's his question again?
For fuck's sake, Brummy, just mute yourself.
If you're claiming that we have some sort of container, then we should be able to detect this container.
You do have a container,
Please demonstrate that this container is detected.
All right. So gas pressure, right, is the requirement for gas pressure. The absolutely necessary the following thing from that to have this as a requirement is absolutely a system. It's joined at the hip. You must need containment. Now that is a fundamental principle in the second law of thermodynamics and everything like that we agree on. We agree heavy on that. The entropy would increase unless acted on by another force or restrained by. So when you ask the question, gas pressure without a container, that's a container of gas, obviously, because we're talking about gas being contained.
Again, you're skirting away from what I was mentioning.
He's asking for physical proof, Brummy.
If we have a container, why can't we detect this container?
The thing is, right, both models have a container. You do realize the globe model is contained, right?
Yes, we have gravity. Gravity is the container.
Okay,
yes.
so that's all I'm following is the logical argument. I couldn't care about me justifying the flat Earth possible scenarios, such as maybe the container being maybe if it isn't space that's out there and there's an energy that's holding in the atmosphere that doesn't allow gases, but you can probably pass it through. You can probably pass through physically, but you can't pass through. It could be some sort of magnetic field or something like that. I can speculate, but I'm not here to justify the possibilities of a flat Earth. I'm here to discuss the fundamental principle that you do need a container, and a lot of globers have only just started to admit now that their gravity is a container.
So what's the fucking argument then? If you're okay with gravity, we're okay with gravity. We don't care what you call it a container. It doesn't matter. It's gravity.
So now you're going to show gravity pulling down these gas molecules, and you can't do that. You can all you keep saying is, really, really high in the atmosphere. Really. No, what you say is really, 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 really high in the atmosphere. Eventually, this war, that between gravity and the gas molecule wins over, and it doesn't get the escape velocity. Some manage to, but not a lot do.
But that's a derivative of the pressure up there. There's less pressure, so there's less ability for air molecules to actually go anywhere because of the lack of pressure.
And over time it increased, and I expect over millions of years now this gas to have long gone.
Well,
as you flat earthers are famous for saying, we generate gas here at the surface of the Earth, and we lose a little bit of it at the upper atmosphere every year. I don't see the big deal.
You're not gonna have a big deal right in staring in your face, but it's subtle. It's up to you, man. You can see what you want.
All the helium that gets used and then put in the atmosphere, are you saying that it's just staying up there? So there's no gas that can escape?
I'm just not following you. Brahmi, I don't get your point. Like it makes sense and it works, and it's well understood. You're saying there's a problem, but you haven't really enunciated what this problem is very clearly.
Well, like I said, show me gas being pulled down by gravity, and you keep going.
It always comes back to we have gas pressure, so it must be contained, but we can't show evidence for this container, physical evidence.
Yeah, you've got some contradictory speak, because you'll have flat earthers that say you can have a pressure gradient in a container, and if you can't, then I don't see the necessity for the container, because by your definition, you need the container because otherwise the gas would go everywhere. But if that were the case, then we would notice gas pressure being equalized inside a container.
And then there's a question of, well, is the sun inside or outside of this container?
There's a lot of things that are going against your logic here, Brummy, and it all works perfectly if you just say, yeah, gravity does what we think it does.
Listen, you've only just started to think about this. Maybe try and go think about it for a few years, then come back and tell me what I'm speculating on it. You ain't got a fucking clue what I think, mate, or what my logic says. You haven't got a clue.
If you need years to figure this shit out, then I'm sorry.
It doesn't take years.
I mean,
this stuff you can grasp within a couple months.
It didn't take me long to figure out that it was wrong.
No, you still what you didn't take years to figure out if you come out of fucking an unknown. Yeah, just randomly existed.
But Barmy, I've got my education.
Created by what created you? Did gravity create you? Yeah, was you created by gravity?
No one says gravity created.
I'm asking you. What do you think? Was you created by gravity?
Brummy, have you decided?
Was you created? Was your gravity? Was your gravity? Was your gravity? You was created by gravity, weren't you? I'm talking to a buffoon who doesn't have a clue what my logic is. Has a clue? You're a buffoon.
So your argument is so weak that you need to jump to a new one. You need to abandon your current idea and jump to a new one. Yeah. Is that what's going on right now?
What's going on is I've realised that you're a doofus. And I'm calling you out. I'm calling you a punk, bitch. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I realise you're a little bitch, and I'm calling you out. So don't get smart with me. Don't come in here with your little underhand. I heard your little subtle comments. I heard your subtle. Yeah, good. Get out my face. Yeah, good.
Wow, so angry.
Are you done, Brahmi? Yeah, he's done.
You're done.
A minuscule amount of challenge to the concept that you could possibly be wrong, which you are, demonstrably. And you have to leap ship and start character attacks and digressing to topics that no one but you cares about, nor no one but you has actually claimed.
Why are you asking me then? Why are you talking to me still? Why are you talking about me? Listen, asshole, I realise you're a piece of shit, and I cut the conversation at that moment. Go and take your little smoking comments somewhere else. Go and take your little arrogant little self somewhere else. It's not welcome.
Oh, well, let's take a poll. Let's poll the audience as to who's less welcome in this particular conversation right now. Okay. The raging lunatics slinging cuss words at people, or someone who is just trying to have a conversation with you about gravity and containers. A topic which, by the way, you abandoned immediately.
Dude, go talk to somebody who wants to talk to you, bro. If I'm such a... go and talk to someone else, man. Okay? I know you're not welcome. I don't give a fuck what anyone else thinks. I don't want to talk to you. Anyone else wants a conversation, I'm happy to talk to them. So know your place, right? Know your place. You're a little bitch, yeah? Don't come in here with your smarmy attitude. Put you in your place, called you out, and that's it. Put your pants down in front of everyone. Try and say whatever you want. Try and say, oh, I was just trying to get out of the conversation. I'm just here to have a normal conversation. Shut the fuck up, bitch, man. No one gives a fuck.
Come on, man. Come on.
Are you done?
Somebody's got his panties in the twist.
Remy, you're the one with that attitude, actually. So
yeah.
Are you done having a tantrum, Bromie?
Globus.
I hope he's got his dummy on the string so he doesn't.
Give me an L. Give me an L.
Calm down, Brummy.
Give me a B.
Yeah.
Give me an E. It's a globe.
Calm down, mate.
It's a globe. It's a globe.
You need to calm
You're too wound up for a sunny Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, all your goons are in now.
Take
Your
a deep
global
breath.
goons. All the global
In
goons
through
are
the
out.
mouth, out through the nose.
Goon squad.
Or was it the other way around? I think it's in through the nose and out through the
In
mouth.
through the
isn't it?
nose. Yes,
The
in
thing
through
is,
the
man,
nose, out
you
through the
can't
mouth.
show us. You can't show us anything that's indicative of a flat Earth. Really nothing.
In through the nose, out through the arse.
I agree.
Surprised there.
I've got as much evidence. I've got as much evidence of flat Earth as you have for gas molecules being pulled down by gravity.
No, you haven't. Why do you think we have a pressure of 14.7 psi at sea level? That's the weight of the air pressing down on you. Oh, that's due to gravity. That's right.
Yeah, evidence.
Man, careful. You're like 2 steps away from him calling you a bitch.
Oh, he did that the other day. I really couldn't give a shit. He's just a gormless little twat.
Sounds like you need new teeth or something. Get some of your teeth glued back in. You're getting a bit on now. But your tongue must have worn away. That old it sounds.
You see what I mean?
You're a tortoise. You're a little tortoise, are you?
So what was your explanation for a gradient?
Little heart.
What was your explanation for a atmospheric gradient, Brummy? What was your explanation for the gradient?
Mate, you know what? I've got two. If SE was allowed to talk in here, we could have a nice little balanced conversation between the lot of us. But I'm not having a load of people throwing insults. Well, I call them out for their little bitchy behaviour. They get a bunch of girls coming in.
Turning it into a shit fight. I just thought I'd bring it back to something.
No. The geezer was started on me. That's why I retaliated.
You can't have.
It doesn't matter.
No, nobody was insulting you, but you just went straight into insult mode.
Yeah.
Because that's all you'd got. You'd lost the argument, so you just have to insult people and spit your dummy out.
Yeah, that's the narrative. That's the narrative.
So go ahead. What's your explanation for a pressure gradient?
He ain't got one.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Or they'll just deny that there is a pressure gradient.
They just deny it, man.
That's how it usually works. I mean, you can measure the damn thing, but it's obviously not real.
Even flat earthers have measured the gradient.
Yeah.
Hey, Brummy, I filmed the lunar eclipse the other day. Can you explain that?
No. I can't, unfortunately, sorry.
You know, a while back, I was trying real hard, to get on board with the flat Earth, but I mean, nothing that I see points to a flat Earth. I'm definitely open to the idea, but I mean, nothing that I see or observe, points to a flat Earth.
No.
Yeah, fair play. Fair play, see, man. You know what I mean? I don't think everyone's truth is true. Individually, I think. I'm not here to tell you that. I'm not here to tell you that you have to believe my illogical conclusions. Just sharing my logical conclusion. And if but everyone else's logical conclusion seems to be just the consensus. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it's not just conforming to consensus. It's the evidence, man. It's the evidence that drives it.
Yeah.
If someone says, "Hey, if you go out here, you should be able to see this island or whatever, and it should be blocked by this much of water, according to this model." So we go out there and we see that, oh shit, it actually matches. You know what I mean? Hey, at this time you're gonna see this star on this day, and I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna.
When I was a Glober, I knew the International Space Station had a particular path that I could check online, and I could go and get my equipment and go and match it up and check the velocities and the angular size over distance, and I can do all that sort of stuff, and I can copy all the maps, and I can cross-reference it, double-check it. I can even travel hundreds of miles to get different sorts of observations of the moon from different points and do fucking trigonometry. I can do loads of stuff to turn. I mean, it's parallax, I think, to the moon. And you can do loads of things to determine things and get a good estimation. You can do lots of stuff. I'm not saying you can't. And it all adds up and it all points to the same thing. But, it all comes from the same sort of idea that, we're on a globe, we're looking 100 miles away, then you do the measurements, and then if something's not off, then sometimes it's probably because you've done something wrong 9 times out of 10. But it could be sometimes something's right, but people don't see nothing wrong with presuming. And when you point out, like, different problems within some of the ideas I've heard of how they explain it, they don't just admit that sounds a bit, they just go, oh yeah, but it's okay because of this, and that's my problem with a lot of Gobers, that even when you point out the problem, they've never been taught to think for themselves in the first place. Or they've been, some of them, not all of them, some of the people have just been they've learnt their method, and anything that doesn't acquire to that method is wrong. But that's not that's kind of backwards, if you get me.
Yeah, but just like everything you just said, it points to one model. Then we obviously it has to be that one model, right? Our model doesn't make that many assumptions. With the flat Earth model, you kind of have to make a lot of assumptions, like, oh, we don't know what the sun is, we don't know what the moon is, we don't know the distance to this, distance to that, we don't know this. That's making a lot of assumptions. The globe model, we don't have to make assumptions. We can say, okay, the sun is this far away. Oh, how is that? Well, here's the many different ways we've measured it. And then after that, the argument is, well, that's all fake because this, and this. And that's all fake, and that's really the only comeback that we always get, is that everything is incorrect because of reasons. Just like the gas pressure thing, we can show that at sea level, the atmospheric pressure is a specific atmospheric pressure, and you go up and it gets lower. We can show that. We can demonstrate that.
All right, cool.
There's been measurements. There's been
no one's saying you can't have great. All right. You guys are adamant about certain points of the argument that are not really contentious within a lot of the flat Earth community. Like, no one really disagrees as a gradient, and no one really sees the gradient as a killer argument. You guys do, and then you focus so much energy trying to bring to light that there's a gradient, it's a gradient, and it's like, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, but the thing is that if we had a container, why would we have a gradient? The pressure will be equalized, pretty much. I think that's the main point. It would be pretty much. I mean, maybe there might be some difference, but it would be pretty equal throughout. As you went up, the gradient wouldn't be so steep. You can have a gradient in a container, but it wouldn't be as steep.
For us to have a proper debate about it, right? I'd have to learn everything that you understand about how you understand the way it all affects in the atmosphere and what the world could or could not be, limitations. And then we could break it down to what's feasible. But your mind seems pretty made up.
So is yours.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you should go and study everything there is to know about the globe model.
Like I said, I don't know everything. There's a lot of shit that I don't know. I kind of I let the evidence speak for itself. I look things up. If someone says, "Hey,
Okay. So if I said to you, could evidently, right? If I said to you, could somebody bring me evidence of the Earth's gravitational pull pulling down gas molecules and causing pressure while exposed to a vacuum, an infinite space of vacuum? Now you'd say that can't be demonstrated because it's in, you couldn't, for a principle, could not demonstrate them principles because it's just within enough physics. We haven't got the capabilities to replicate the
demonstrate it on the Earth, mate.
Exactly. So because you can't demonstrate it, now that's something you should say. Now, logically, I cannot demonstrate it, but I believe. Yeah, I cannot. You cannot demonstrate it, but you believe it. That's the point.
No.
That's
the demonstrations of it, but you can't demonstrate it on the Earth.
You can't demonstrate it, but you believe it.
Different gases being affected by gravity. Like I have a video of bromine gas that's in a vial. They break the vial, they pour the gas out, and it acts like a liquid.
There's demonstrations of it, but you can't demonstrate it on Earth the way you want.
Oh god, you guys are painful, man. Like the other guy talking about the gases. Like, look, you've taken gas and you've put it into a vacuum, yeah, and you watch it all just do what gas does, go in omnidirectional in random directions. So what?
No. The guy breaks the vial, right?
Yeah, but if you're just going to just talk shit to me, I'm not going to respond. But this guy's actually talking about something.
Of the vial. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Nah, the other guy was just getting huffy and pissy with me. He come in, insulted me, and expects me to talk to him like on a normal level. And you're asking a proper question about gases and how to behave when you open the vial, which I think is more interesting.
Are you referring to me getting huffy and pissy with you? Because I wasn't. I wasn't getting huffy and pissy with you. That's just an assumption you've made. And I'm making an assumption that you're referring to me. Were you? Were you referring to me?
Who else? You're still being pissy?
What?
You're being pissy right now?
You are being pissy right now?
If you're trying to say something, man, my bad.
You need to fix your squeaky chair, mate. Maybe use push to talk.
Is that your chair, Brummy? It's time for a new chair, man. Get that thing some WD-40 or something.
Come on, now, let's get to the point.
No, I was just saying. I have a video of a guy breaks the vial on bromine gas, right? The gas, when he breaks the vial, the gas stays in the container. Then he pours it out like a liquid. So that is gas being acted on by gravity.
Okay, so let me ask you this. A very clever question. Have you 100% factored out all possible influences in that room?
Well, what else would there be?
I'm asking you because you've already made a causative claim now that the only thing that could be doing it is gravity, right? So I'm saying to you, is there any other influences that you factored out every other influence? That's why haven't you?
What else do you think?
You should say yes, mate. No,
well,
you should
you're
say
the one
yes.
That's the point.
You're
saying
yes,
gravity.
You factored out every other variable. So what other variables do you think?
Because the way
variables should you have to factor out?
Yeah.
Wow.
What other factors do you think there would affect it?
Well, obviously you figured it out, right? Because you've postulated this to me as like, well, it has to be gravity, right? So you've already factored that out. That's just a general question you'd ask somebody if they're going to postulate something. If you're going to insinuate that this is definitely gravity and nothing else is factoring, I'm sure you'd have already covered this, right? So you should be confident, right? You should be on a defensive to think, oh, maybe
he sounds confident.
Okay.
He sounds pretty
confident. Don't sound confident to me. He don't sound like a confident gentleman to me.
Well,
how confident are you?
Pretty much say it is gravity. It's like, okay, so let's say
what else could
be making the gas go down?
You figured?
What else
I'm
could
just
be making it go down? Could it be a fan? Could it be a fan above the gas, blowing it down
Why would oil flow down water?
You haven't thought. Obviously, I've figured it out. You haven't. That's the point. I used to be just like you, man. I used to be naive.
If it was a fan, then it would blow the gas all over the place, right?
It's been naive,
so
like
it
you,
can't
mate.
be that.
Yeah, no, you're thinking about this isolated situation, but you're not thinking on a fundamental level. You're thinking on an isolated situation where you've got oxygen in the room. In that room that you poured that you broke the seal. That was in a room, right? You know that room has oxygen in it. You know, so it's got other different pressure differentials within that room. that influence the behavior of gases. Gases are literally omnidirectional. Every single kind of person who walks around, or you put your hand over it, you move your hand. There's an after effect, there's a wave of different sort of ripples of kinetic energy, of them all bouncing off each other, and that will just continuously happens just constantly. Gases are like, over time, eventually they seek their equilibrium, their balance, but again, a molecule in motion will remain in motion, and that's another external force, but that external force is usually a physical obstruction. You guys are saying that gravity wins over some sort of tug of war over.
And you shouldn't break the seal until you get to your 4th beer at least. Otherwise, you'll be pissing all night.
Yeah, but if you really got to piss, you can't just hold it.
You can, mate. You got to find your inner zen, your bladder strength.
You got to sit down. Just sit down. But anyway, okay, Brumman, we factored out everything in the room. It can't be. There's no fan. It can't be the oxygen around it. So what else? What else could it be?
Have we done it in a vacuum then?
Yes, I've seen dry ice act the same way in a vacuum.
Yeah, I've seen some shitty replicas. Not the replicas that would be substantial, but some of the kind of like they get like the dry ice in a vacuum, and he's got it like through a see-through cube. It like slightly comes out the sides and stuff. But there is a transitional stage between solids and liquids. So as it's in its transitional state, there is like a like a delay effect as it's kind of melting, so to speak. It's it's going through a transitional stage where it's basically a liquid. Do you know what I mean? And liquids do have a downward bias, same as solids. But once they've passed that transitional stage of going from liquids to a gas, they obviously will go up. And that's how you control. That's how the weather is controlled. Like when the sun's out, the gases rise because they're heated and stimulated. The absence of the sun, they cool down eventually, and then they start. It rains, hits the cold air, and it comes down. All that moisture, all that hot air. It can travel. Seek. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this moisture can carry through the air from fucking hundreds of miles, and then obviously only until when it cools down, it hits a different sort. Then it starts to rain. But heat. It's just the same thing.
Yeah. Well, we know heat. Heat rises. But when we're talking about specific gases and the way they behave, we can show demonstrations of some kind of downward force acting on these gases.
Like I said, that was a transitional stage, right? We covered that. That's a transitional stage. It's going from a solid.
Yeah, but even during that transitional stage, it's still being acted upon.
Yeah, because that transitional stage is liquid. So when you've got solids, they go down. Liquids, they go down. Gases go up. And then there's a transitional stage. Hold on. As a transitional stage, as it goes from dry ice, solid, as it goes from red light, solid, and it transitions to a green, which would be a gas. There's an amber stage, right? There's an amber stage where it goes through goes from a solid to a liquid. And liquids do have a down. So as you see, as it melts, it starts to go down and has down behaviors. But then once entropy increases and more time is given, and it fully develops into the gas that it is, it will then continue to expand in all directions. But initially, it's a liquid, so it will go down.
No, well, I'm talking specifically gas.
Yeah, and then you're on about gas related to you're already in a pressurized. The gas that you are breathing now, you got the atmosphere. You've got another sample of a different gas inside of the atmosphere that's already compressed from outside the space anyway. Your whole example. Let's just focus on that rather than go on the big picture. It's already flawed because you're already in a pressurized gas container system anyway. To prove gas pressure container, you'd need to get a large vacuum, and in the middle of that vacuum, you put like an open surface such as a large ball. Open up a couple of gas containers in there. Once you've closed the doors, and then watch how the behavior of the gas does inside of the vacuum, and the gas will just literally just float up in the air. It won't hold to the surface of the earth that you live on. It won't hold to the surface of that ball inside of there. It will just go everywhere, and we know that because gas always fills the container.
But can you show me a demonstration? I hear you making a claim about it.
Yeah, get a balloon.
Show me
get a balloon. put it inside a vacuum, take all the air out of the vacuum inside the balloon, yeah, and then when you get like a pin and pierce the balloon while it's inside that environment, and what will happen is you'll pop the balloon. The containment will be gas inside of a containment, and it will expand in all directions.
What type of gas?
Any gas.
So any gas in a vacuum is going to.
Yeah. Let's just stick with oxygen. Let's just say oxygen. It's quite a neutral one. Let's say oxygen because we're breathing it. We need it down here, innit? So it needs to be kind of that needs to be that's kind of good. And I think the air we breathe. If you open a bag of oxygen inside of a vacuum, it would just expand. No force, no but I know you've pressurized the air, but let's say you randomly, spontaneously admitted a kilo of air into that vicinity. Somehow, even that would expand.
Okay, what about a heavier gas?
Most gases will expand and explore, bro.
What about a heavier gas?
But then them gases that heavy, they're in relation to other gases. Let's just say the heaviest gas you got. Then go for that one.
I think bromine is pretty heavy.
Go on then, go for bromine. So put some bromine inside of a vacuum.
Well, I don't have a demonstration of bromine in a vacuum, but I do have a video of bromine being poured out of a vial, like if it's a liquid.
But that's relating to oxygen in the air, isn't it? There's oxygen in the air where it's pouring that down in the air, isn't it? There's oxygen.
But the claim is
you have to be in a vacuum. Listen, you have to be in a vacuum because there's influences of air pressure. We live in a pressurized system. We're trying to say, can you show us gas pressure without a container? That means go get a vacuum and put gas in it and see how it behaves while it's inside of a vacuum. Not like go inside of the atmosphere that's already pressurized and prove what happens when you pour a deeper fucking medium inside of a room that's got full of oxygen in there. It's ridiculous. It's not the question at the table.
But that's the
claim. You don't get the claim clearly because I'm telling you, you don't get the fundamental principle of the question.
Your claim is that gas goes in all directions. Isn't that your claim?
Gas is it's omnidirectional. Doesn't go all in directions equally all the time.
So it should go in all directions.
No, that's a misinterpretation. That's another misinterpretation of what's been said. That's another misinterpretation of what's been said. That's not what's been said.
So again, you're going back to the claim of that. The overall claim is that our atmosphere should be sucked off the planet by the vacuum.
No, the vacuum doesn't suck, but air does press. Okay. You have pressure. The question is gas pressure without a container, right? The gas pressure without a container is the question. Oh my God! Why are you talking? You've asked me a question, and then you're talking halfway through my explanation.
Do gases have weight?
Gas pressure without a container is the first thing we're going to discuss. We'll go to weight after. First of all, you come off with gas pressure without a container. That's the question. So when you ask that fundamental principle, you need to fundamental principle or emulate that principle, because obviously we don't think it's possible because entropy increases, which will prevent it from being possible. So we say it's a law of entropy. It's a violation. That's why we ask questions that are impossible to demonstrate, because it would violate them laws on a fundamental level. Do you understand the question now?
Okay, so yeah, I understand. So let's say if I have a fish tank with a really heavy gas in it.
Right? Yeah.
Is that gas supposed to? How does that gas stay in that container?
So if I get a gas, put it in a container, right? That's definitely heavy proportional to the other gas that's around it in the room, which obviously supports it and keep it in its position inside of a basic container, which has 4 walls, which it can build up a kind of surface tension, so you can float stuff on it probably as well. Why?
Yeah. So how big does that container have to be in order for it to be?
Should we go back to the fundamental principle again? Because you seem to be completely oblivious to the fact that the question on the table is gas pressure without containment, and you're talking about a contained gas.
How
inside
big
of
does
the
the
room.
container have to be until it's not a container? So can I have like could I have like a fish tank with a 1 inch with 1 inch walls?
I did say
At what point is it not a container?
When I said to you, you need a very, very large vacuum chamber. That's because I've already done this thinking, because you're talking to me like this is new news to you. This is an old argument, years old.
Yeah, but
right?
Yeah,
and you're acting spontaneously surprised, like, oh, how big container been it? Well, I already told you, if you listened earlier, you need a very large container, a surface inside of there, like a large ball, or even you could use the earth itself as to replicate the gravitational pull, and then you'd need to expose any gas inside of that container and judge the behavior of the gases. Now, you guys are saying that basically gravity is having an effect on these gas molecules, whereas I would disagree. I'd say gas would go in all directions like you experience. But if you was in space and you had weightlessness, right? The same sort of principle should apply. If you are made up of weight and you do have matter, that's not that's what I'm saying. But the behavior of you experience weightlessness, and you'd probably experience a lot of kinetic rebound and stuff. If you collide, add collisions into flying weightless objects, you experience weightlessness. So there's a difference between saying they have no weight and they have no weight. And that's where you guys jump down my neck on that fundamental principle. It's just you guys double speak. You say weight is the actual effect on the force pulling it down to gravity. That's what you call, weight. But then things actually are made up of matter, which basically, go hand in hand. They do have actually weight.
Okay. So this is what I need. I need a demonstration in a vacuum chamber of a heavy gas. You take the heavy gas into that vacuum chamber, right? Open up the container and have that gas disperse into that container and have it not settle to the bottom eventually because it has weight.
Eventually.
That's what I want to see.
So you think that a heavy gas in a vacuum would collect at the bottom of the vacuum?
Eventually it would collect to the bottom, yes.
And how long is eventually?
I don't know. Show me a demonstration of it not doing that.
Show you a demonstration of something that you don't think that gas would do.
No, I mean, you're telling me that it won't. You're saying that all the gas would disperse into a vacuum, right? A heavy gas. That all the gas would, if it's opened up, that it will disperse into that vacuum chamber, right? That's the claim.
From what I know about gas,
demonstration. I want a demonstration of that, of a heavy gas being dispersed into a vacuum and it not settling on the bottom of that container.
Well, people already do say it, that gas goes it fills up its container, doesn't it? Expands out in all directions. They already say it does that, don't they? Like if you blow up a balloon, it goes out in all directions, doesn't it?
Yeah, but heavy gas.
As you introduce gas on a gas on a fundamental level will just continue to go in all directions unless it's been compacted in. And then you say the Earth is rotating. Not only have you got this thing supposed to be rotating, and it's going on a trajectory, through space, through the vacuum as well. So it's also got to manipulate the gas to go with it in a synchronous manner as it travels around a spiraling galaxy.
I think we're kind of getting away from the point here.
But you guys need to think like it's moving at different trajectories. You've got centrifugal forces from the Earth rotating, going outwards. You've got all the air traffic and all the planes going through it, which is supposed to be all just irrelevant because it's so big. But it just all goes like a big giant sludge rotating with 1,000 miles an hour. The gas, omnidirectional gas that goes in all directions, is also going omnidirectional down and across as the Earth rotates. As the centrifugal force of the Earth rotating, coming outwards, they're negligible. Everything's all negligible. Everything that would fuck up their model is all accounted for and apparently negligible. But it's just something that's not right. a lot of these negligible forces, like apparently proportional to the gas molecules to the Earth, so small, so that's negligible. But yet it's having to pull. It wins over a tug of war, pulling the gas molecules back down to Earth, making it turn it into a container, and that also is dragging it east to west, 24 hours every single day of the week. And then the gas molecules, as they're also following the Earth's rotation, they're also going in their own directions. all at the same time, and this is all because of gravity. It has its delicate equilibrium on all these fucking vectors. It's ridiculous. Maybe things just don't work in the way that people think they are.
Well, I mean, you're okay. So you don't believe that the Earth's atmosphere will be able to move along with the rotating Earth? Is that your claim?
No, I do believe it. I used to believe it, but I do think. You know what? When I look around and I look for the coach and I'm on planes and like you look at your normal common sense, you just say like you wouldn't really think you're on a ball. You just wouldn't. The only reason I do think I'm on a ball is because of the things that I've been told and I've learned at school and the trigonometry and the way the sun sets and the sun the shadows and stuff. And apart from that, realistically, you don't really experience any curvature or any movement. And all the deviations you're supposed to expect, you don't get because they've got like conservation of momentum.
Well, most people will go through their life and not experience curvature. I don't know how you would experience curvature. I mean, you can see its effects, but you're not gonna like experience curvature. Like I don't know.
You can see some effects. You can see some effects at the horizon, but you say the curvature is covered. The curvature is the geometric sort of curve, as the vanishing point and that. But then people are saying that fucking that's also refraction. Refractions can also do that, and the horizon moves due to where the atmospheric conditions, and there's a massive debate go down because over this.
There's not really much difference between the geometric and the apparent horizon. There's not really much of a difference.
Well,
so I've gone through this debate. I don't want to go down that geometric curve argument. I mean, it's because it's kind of stupid.
Basically, it's just another case of the Globers are saying there's something there that we can't show you, but you have to believe that's there. Yeah, again, it's the same argument. It's the same thing. But it is. They're saying the apparent horizon is an apparent location. It's not the actual horizon because the actual horizon can never be seen because due to refraction. But it's as close to the apparent horizon. It's the closest geometric horizon you can get is the apparent one, and that's what they're saying. So when it comes close, it's covering stuff, and it adds up to what they want. That's the horizon. But when it doesn't add up to what they want, that's terrestrial refraction. That's the argument. That's what they do.
Well, you can see but the thing here's the thing though. You can see the horizon, right?
Oh man.
When you look at water, you can see it, right?
Yeah.
So that's the apparent horizon. You might not see the geometric because that's geometric. But there's no difference. There's a very small difference between the two.
I just explained that to you.
So, and we see things.
I just said the
we
same
see
things
We see things blocked by the horizon. Take for instance, we see light being blocked. We see light being from the sun being blocked by the horizon. Now,
and we see the horizon that can have effect on the light. So how do we know that it's not the atmosphere that's affecting the light, or it really is the Earth's curvature affecting the light? Because both of them have the properties to be the effect that we see.
Because it's how the horizon blocks the light. It's how it blocks the light.
Okay, so it's absence of light are both factors, and both factors of refraction. So it don't really matter. Both of them could be possible factors for the absence of light as the sunshine dissipates from the bottom upwards. I've had this conversation before.
But okay, so let's take the sun for instance, right? According to flat earthers, the sun moves away, right? It moves away. It doesn't go down. It actually moves away. But for some reason, the horizon blocks the light from the sun.
From the bottom up,
and it blocks it, and it blocks it in an upward angle.
Yeah.
To the point where it shines the light on the bottom of clouds. It doesn't make any sense. And it doesn't make any sense if the sun is supposedly I don't know what number you guys. I know a lot of flat earthers are throwing out a number of the how far the sun is away from the flat earth. But it doesn't make any sense that the horizon is blocking the light from the sun, yet the sun is such and such 1,000 miles above the surface of the earth.
Well, it can't be that distance then, can it?
No, it'd have to be a lot farther away, and then the surface would have to be curved in order for the light from the sun to hit the bottom of clouds.
In order for your calculation to work, the ones I've given you for speed of light and the angles that you're at and stuff, for it to work, yeah, it's not gonna fit you. Of course not. Of course you're gonna be able to make it work because you haven't copied the homework to do it, have you? Sure, there's a different way you could learn.
It's not homework, man. It's just like it's trigonometry, man.
Yeah, homework, stuff you do at home, innit? To work out what they're saying.
It's it's kind of, you can literally model this, and you can see like, okay, how would the surface of the Earth, if the surface of the Earth is flat, how would the surface block the light from the sun?
Well, first of all, the surface of the Earth is like all different sorts of evens. It's always up and down, and it's like mountains and stuff. It's not really flat.
Yeah, but we're talking about over water.
So over water.
Which would be the best place to see the effects of curvature.
It's the best and worst place. I mean, we have to look at over level water because water's level, but people do it over land. I mean, I instantly dismiss it. So we have, but the problem with water is there's massive atmospheric conditions that can vary than what you see and what you don't.
Right.
I mean, you can't even determine a horizon without the temperatures and the atmospheric conditions being,
right.
Down.
But understand this, like I was saying, for the surface of the water to block the light from the sun, the sun would have to go below that horizon.
I've already told you, right? The atmosphere. I don't know. It's like I feel like sometimes I say stuff to you, and I don't think you get it.
The atmosphere. So okay, the atmosphere is blocking the light from the sun, and the atmosphere is making the sun's light. Is the atmosphere making the sun's light bend to the point where it's hitting the bottom of the clouds?
Yeah. It could do. I don't know or everything behind it, but that's a possibility.
And also, like, let's say during sunrise and sunset, when the ground is not illuminated by direct sunlight, but the clouds are illuminated.
Yeah, because it's you know that they say there's something to do with the sun's radiant color. Only certain spectrums of light is when it's traveling away from you, because when it's going towards you, you get a different sort of light because the light's coming towards you. But when light's going away from you, it's always red. So like the sunsets and the change of the color is because the light spectrums are traveling away from you.
No. Sunrise and sunsets always look the same color.
There's something about it, man. There's something about the sun. I can't remember what it was, but it could. You're saying they're both the same color, but every sun's like east and west, and everyone experiences the same thing. It's the same for everyone. The sun comes up in the east and sets in the west, yeah?
Yes.
Around the world,
yes.
Yeah. So it's the same for us all, isn't it? We all experience the same thing. So it's not whatever I'm experiencing. You don't really let that massive alarm bells off in my head. So I'm not saying whatever I'm experiencing, you should experience. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, it travels. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to work. I forgot what I was talking about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, there's no way for the horizon. There's no way for the horizon to block the light from the sun. If the sun is above the surface, and it's always above the, it never goes below the horizon. There's no way for the light to block.
As your viewing angle as the moving object goes further away from you, and your viewing angle becomes sharper and sharper and sharper.
But it'll never be below. It'll never be below that if it's on a flat surface.
Well, I disagree. You got all the atmosphere as it's traveling distance. You got more atmosphere as well, and as you get more atmosphere, you can get more magnification, and that's why it doesn't seem to reduce in angular size as the sun travels away. It seems to be consistent with like proportional to distance to how much atmosphere. So there's only a certain amount of distance you can see something for anyway. So it would be there is a mathematical way where that sun can travel around without changing size dramatically and going through the atmosphere to kind of counterbalance it, because there is a difference. Every day it does change between like 0.02
quick question,
angular size. So it does change.
If there's more magnification the further it goes away, then why are you arguing that it would get smaller the further away it goes?
Because normally it goes smaller because of angular size reduction, right? Things get smaller in angular size as the distance goes. But then also,
it magnifies.
But then you also add in when you factor in the atmospheric conditions as it travels away, That would counter the dissipation of the size of the angular reduction in distance.
Yeah, but I mean, things can't magnify and then get smaller.
Well, if it's reducing in size because of angular distance, if the distance is one of the factors why it's reducing in size, is distance, yeah, that's one thing that's reducing its size. So as it's getting smaller from the person it's moving away from, at the same time it's accumulating more atmospheric conditions. Both of them things are having an effect, and both of the side effects of both of them things is obviously one makes it smaller and one makes it larger. So then it appears to remain the same, or doesn't adjust as much as it probably would, or fluctuate as much as you would expect to, given the dimensions that you postulated.
But you just said it appears to remain the same, which is what we expect, which is what we see. It remains the same.
Yeah.
And also when we look at a sunset, it doesn't. When's the last time you actually watched a sunset going down below the on water?
Oh, I can't remember. I don't know, about a year ago.
Like, anytime I've watched the sunset, right? To me, as a person watching it, it doesn't look like it's moving away. I have to, in order for me to believe that, I kind of have to ignore what I'm actually looking at. I have to say, no, it's actually moving away. It only looks like it's moving down.
Let me. If that's true, then it's safe to say that you have discovered that you feel like you're moving. Then, right?
I feel like I'm moving. No.
Well, if it's not that moving, it must be you. Well, how can you not know it's you moving? How can you know it's not that moving?
Well, that's not the topic right now. I'm talking about watching the sun. Talking about watching the sun.
It doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like it's moving away from you.
No, it looks like it's moving down.
Oh, it looks like it's moving down.
Yes, it doesn't look like it's moving away.
Well, that means. Oh, you mean away, as in like the trajectory? Okay.
Yes.
So it looks like its elevation is decreasing.
Yes. And if anytime I watch a sunset, now I know I've seen a lot of people show videos of the sun decreasing in size before it hits the horizon, but it's normally because there's clouds on the horizon, and the sun goes behind clouds. That's normally what we see. But when there's no clouds at all, the sun goes right down into the water. So it's either the sun is going into the water or it's going down below the horizon.
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I'd probably say yes. I'd agree with you. It looks like it's going down. Like when you look at the sun and the way the light goes around the edges, and as it goes into the horizon, it appears to be going down. Like an orange would be falling inside of like quicksand. Hello.
Yeah.
Like an orange on the horizon in quicksand, and it's like going down. And it looks like it's been like submerged into that. But when I imagine when I think about maybe in a different way, it's still as something goes away from you and it gets magnified. It kind of like, I don't know, like there's obviously there's only so far you've got there's only so far you can see infinitely out. You know what I mean? So there is probably like a horizon that things would converge and probably have the same effects, but I don't know. It is one of the best arguments. This is what I used to use when I used to argue against flat Earth. As you say about the sunlight reflecting up, and it's a good one.